So they'll be calling you a radical. So it's light the night right now. I just turned on my camera. I participated. It's virtual. They canceled it. So it'll be 9 years this week. I was given 2 months to live. And so I'm participating right now in the Survivor Circle. It's virtual. It really, I think it's irony that sponsored by Intermountain Healthcare and the CEO of Intermountain Health, Mark Harrison, who I know, is sharing his story tonight. It actually pisses me the fuck off. As you know, IHC right here misdiagnosed me. Told me I had first they told me it was carcinoid cancer in my liver, and 3 different doctors 9 years ago this week told me I'd be dead within 2 weeks. Then a doctor scoped me, went down to my guts, and told me there was nothing wrong with me. Kicked me out of their hospital. The Japanese doctor told me to go home. There's nothing wrong, and said it was just an ulcer. But, I woke up on the floor. My friend Vincent Hansen, who would have nothing to do with him, he's in their unit now. I went and saw Dr. Picard. They biopsied. I had tumors up and down in my right thing. The 5th time I was in their unit. Finally, the first time I was in there, this girl, Natalie, who lives right up the road from me, was the girl who scanned me. She died of a heart attack last year, younger than me. The doctor that scanned me at Mark Harrison's fucking hospital obviously never even looked at the scan. He told me that I was uninsured. He told me I had an elevated white count. It was just some food poisoning. Go home. Well, I went home. It got worse. It got violently worse. I went back. It was a Friday. I turned around and went back again. Finally, a woman doctor, gone for a long time, come in. She had tears in her eyes. You're plumb full of tumors, slapped around your lower masseter up into your right. It's cancer. I've got the oncologist on call talking to us. He's headed in here right now. He's going to meet you up there, checking you in right now. So I went in up to the rooms on a Friday afternoon. I met him right at the door. He was looking at the scan. He says, "Come here." I said, "Well, tell me what you think." So I've been looking at it. We've been discussing it through a bunch of us. He says, "It's in your liver. Looks bad to me. What do you think?" "Tell me." I said, "Just tell me." He says, "I think you maybe got 2 months to live." Next guy come in my room, told me some story about his life. I've got 6 weeks to live. My daughter come up there. So surreal and so horrible. They scoped me in the middle of the night. Dr. Taos told me, "Well, you got a hole in your stomach, and I don't think that is a cancer tumor in your liver. I see the tumors. I think it's carcinoid cancer." Okay. Next doctor in the morning, because my new grandson and my daughter stayed with me that night and had a fit, kicked me out of the room. Told me to go home. Oh, okay, whatever. So then I went back. I'm dying. My daughter found me on the floor, passed out, all but dead. I go back into Mark Harrison's fucking hospital. Threw down my stock for it. I said, "I have $1 million. Don't fuck with me. It's cancer." I got on the internet. I found a YouTube video from Cedars-Sinai on a doctor who said, "Tumors in the lower right mesentery of men, I think the pathology gets it wrong more than they get it right." So they biopsied me. Went into me. I had a big tumor right here on my lower right. I had bowel looping around my lower right. They didn't restrict my diet. I don't know how my fucking intestine didn't rupture. It was malpractice in the 10th power. Should have never punctured that tumor. They did. So I go in to Vakara. He was going to do the surgery. He says, "Oh, it's benign." I'm like jumping up. "Thank you, God." He said, "No, wait a minute. That's the snip out of the stomach." Oh, scroll down, just glittering. So what does that mean? He says, "That's about the highest marker I've ever seen. That cancer's alive. We're going to schedule for surgery tomorrow. I'm going to take your whole right lower guts out, blah, blah, blah." I says, "The fuck you are. You're not doing that to me." So then Vincent Hansen finally got word. He called me. I don't know how he found out, but he says, "Get in here." I got in there, and he bone marrow biopsied me. From what I understand, because I know the girl that works in his office, said he argued with Silverman, who was the pathologist, for hours. Vincent says, I think it's, and I run it by Vincent. I says, what about being AML de novo? You're going to present tumors. He called me the next day. He says, go home. I'm going to call you the next day. So I went to my daughter's house. He called and says, his secretary called. Says, you need to go to the LDS East State Bone Marrow Transplant Center tomorrow. Check in tomorrow, which was 11/11/11. Trailer, you want to talk a fucking story, Mark Harrison? I'll show you a fucking story. So I just broke down. My dad died of leukemia. Annika died. I knew. I'm like, fuck, it's over. My dad's like, call him back. So I called back Vincent. He's with a pay. He'll call you. I waited for about an hour. He called. He says, Kevin, I've known you since you were a child. I wouldn't even send anybody to the LDS. I says, I'm not going to that shithole. It's under construction. It's a dump. He says, yeah, it's under construction, but there's a guy named Fimbo Peterson from Denmark. I've talked to him about you. I wouldn't send somebody. You have a nasty cancer in you. It's bad. But if anybody can freaking survive it, it's you. I have great hope for you. I've known you since you get, you go and you fight. And he got all choked up and he got all emotional. So I went in the next day on 11/11. You don't even know a fucking nightmare. Marshall Jensen. Mark Harrison was in the room next to me. One of the most famous cancer cases in American history. We fought together. I went going in and out of a coma in that place for a long time. Off and on. Mike Lee kicked me out of Medicaid. It's been a fucking crazy. The chemo wore my valve. My fucking gallbladder ruptured. I was in the ICU at McQuackty, this is Mark Harrison's hospital, open heart surgery, and their own department in the same hospital was calling me on my phone while I'm in the IC unit from open heart surgery. Split open heart surgery. Threatening me. Sue me. While I'm in an ICU. I says, I'm right upstairs in your fucking unit. Come on up. Forked over almost $1 million. Exhausted that. Then Mike Lee out of nowhere in 2050. I was in the bone marrow transplant off and on for 4 years. Mike Lee fucking kicks me off Medicaid. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? They exhausted all that money. Vincent Hansen saved my life. So, Marshall Jensen's dead. Everybody that was in that unit. I see Carter Hennessy's husband is the highest money raiser, which $13,000, that's all you can fucking raise. Come on, Mark Harrison. Fork over a few million, you fucking cheap bastard. It's not even your money. That's all you guys can raise? Fuck. Carter Hennessy. Marshall Jensen. Judy. Dana, Mrs. Glauser, Tracy, everybody that I was in there with, they're all dead. Every fucking one of them's dead. It's fucking heartbreaking. It's a hallowed time at fucking like the 9. Barry, it's been this fucking 9 years has been fucking brutal as hell. I was too sick for a bone marrow transplant. My platelets were after 3 rounds of chemo, the radiation up and down me. We decided not to have the transplant. Fimbo said he thought it would kill me. I agreed. We agreed. I've had 12 bone marrow biopsies. I finally made a decision I can't do those bone marrow. They're too fucking brutal. The waiting, the pain, no more PET scans. So we've been flying blind for a long time. I'm still alive. Vincent and Fimbo says I'm the greatest fucking miracle they've ever seen in their career. Go talk to him, Mark Harrison. He's in your fucking unit. I'm still alive. So I do light the night there in Salt Lake every night. It's virtual. So I'm here in Utah, born and fucking raised my whole life, but fuck me. It's pretty bad when Light the Night Salt Lake don't even acknowledge that I exist. Yet, Light the Night San Diego called me and asked me to speak this year. That's on 11/11 this year. I think I'll go do it virtually. I'll go down there and walk. I've been to San Diego for fucking over a year. So it's time. So it's virtual. So all you survivors gather in a circle. You gather. Raise your lanterns. them high in the air and light the night. Thank you, everybody, for supporting this. Thank you to the doctors and nurses at LDS. You say, I'm so happy to be alive. I'm still battling. I've had a fucking setback this week. My platelet count's fucking very low. I have no insurance. I have no fucking thanks to Mark Harris in ICU, but he's speaking right now. Fuck, what a fucking joke. Thank you, everybody, who supported this historic work. Thank you to the PAs, the CNAs. To everybody who's lost a loved one. I fight for you every day. I fight for Carla every day. I fight for Marshall. I'll never let their legacies fucking die as long as I'm alive. Stop this on 11/11? No. Stop this on 12/12. I'm here in Utah. Born and raised here in Utah. Mark Harrison's not. He's speaking to light the fucking night. You don't even know a fucking cancer story. You have no fucking clue. Go talk to no fucking doctors. I get serious, and I will. I'll get serious after I get through this fight, and I'll go raise some money for the bone marrow acute. By the way, Fimbo's moved to Boise, following the work. Really? That's all you fuckers can raise? Pretty pathetic and sad, actually. Multi-billion-dollar corporation. Thank you, Vincent Hansen. Thank you, Fimbo Peterson, Julie Ash, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Uda. Thank you. Thank you to the nurses and the PAs and the CNAs.